It's time for the Viewing Your Mirror podcast. I'm Katie Harms, and along with Lisa Rubin, we help you check in and curate the best possible you and the best view in your mirror. We share tips, tricks, and strategies from our 35 plus years in our respective industries. We talk about your day from morning to night and everything in between. We share our uniqueness, relish in our shared experiences. Along the way, we share conversation with fabulous people who give us their own thought-provoking insights. So come along as we help you hone the best view in your mirror. Lisa.
Good morning, Katie. We're here together.
Oh, we are. I'm liking the together. It's fun. Brings me back to olden days.
Yes, when technology doesn't work.
When technology doesn't work. Before there was technology. Oof, I guess there's always been technology.
Anyway, there had to be technology.
What? Here's the deal. This is the microcosm of life, too. Shit happens, and you adjust, and you focus on all the good stuff. And there's so much good stuff that we're going to, set this aside. First of all, we're going to talk about the fact that Rustica Bakery is a part of Jester Concepts, right? Rustica is our presenting sponsor, and we love them. And I'm in there, I would say, once a week, once every 2 weeks for sure, I am at Rustica. But Jester Concepts has so many different fun things, and we tried, and I'm gonna hack the name of the restaurant, this cute little noodle place that's in Excelsior. It's brand new.
Oh, you tried it?
And we tried it, and it is delicious. We did a takeout, and even the grandkids loved it. So, you just talk amongst yourself, tell a story about how you love Rustica, and I'm going to really quickly look up the name of the restaurant.
I'll just talk to myself for a little bit. I do that a lot, Katie.
I know.
But I didn't know it was open yet.
It is.
Okay.
And Parlor is open there as well.
Oh.
And that is delicious. Now, if I were smart, I would go to the text. It's Cheeky Nudes.
That's a cute name.
Cheeky Nudes. And it took me a while to figure out the nudes.
Okay.
But it's noodles. So it's
Everything
a lot of ramen.
Noodles?
It's ramen, and it's a very Asian flair, but just delicious. Little bites, great for sharing.
And you can sit down there?
Good flavors, yes. It's a tiny little spot I picked up when I picked up. And, Excelsior is just such a cute, fun area.
It is. And it's on the way to your daughter, so that makes it easy.
It is. So Jester Concepts, go to jesterconcepts.com if you want to see all the restaurants they've got. rusticabakery.com is still, we love Rustica.
It's our little baby.
It's our baby. Bidé Makaska. It's right over there next to Burger Jones, right by Punch Pizza. Great parking.
Crisp and Green, not Burger Jones anymore.
Oh!
Katie, you're dating yourself.
I am so dating myself. And in Southdale. But on the side of Southdale where you can get in and get out.
Yes.
Easy park.
And you can get a blowout if you want in.
Yes, you can.
Because you've done that before.
Yes. That just, it's a 2-for-1, right?
Yeah.
You get the
blowout. You can go get your food while you're getting your hair blown out. You can eat your naughty food.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not naughty.
It's not?
It's not naughty food.
You can get naughty food. I would get a cookie, Katie.
Well, that's not naughty, Lisa. Again, we need to change the perception.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's not naughty. It's fun food.
Fun food. Treat food.
Treat food.
Who doesn't deserve a treat?
Well, my granddaughter thinks every single day she gets a treat.
Listen, we were just at a funeral for a man.
A funeral? You went from a funeral?
Yes, but I'm going to tell you, we were at a funeral for a man who made it to 100 years old. And you know what his secret of life was?
What?
Ice cream every day.
Wow.
Every day of his life.
Wow.
Ice cream.
What kind?
I don't know. I think just ice cream.
Oh.
But at the funeral, at the luncheon afterwards, we had ice cream.
What kind?
Vanilla.
That must have been his favorite.
It went with the apple pie. It was delicious. Okay, we got so much to talk about. We have a really great guest coming up, Katie Stearns, and she's a serial entrepreneur. She's an investor. She's a movement builder with a passion for creating first in market ventures that empower women. She's the founder and CEO of Blyngz Luxury Technologies, the first ever woman-invented and led consumer audio wearable design specifically for women. Think earrings that are earbuds, okay? Prior to Blyngz, she created the You Betcha Box, a CPG brand that reached over $1 million in revenue without outside capital. She serves on the National Executive Committee of How Women Lead and Invest, and is the founder of the emerging 2% for Women Club, a bold initiative uplifting women to direct 2% of their assets towards other women through investing, governance, and entrepreneurship. With a background in grassroots movement building and media-forward storytelling, Katie's work lives at the intersection of innovation, impact, and equity, lighting fires for women across tech, venture, and beyond.
She's got a lot.
She is formidable. I met Katie at a U of M event and just was blown away by her open, excited presence, and I'm excited to talk to her.
I'm excited to talk to her and meet her.
Exactly, because we're doing it in person.
I know.
So before we do that, I want to talk about our event, because it seems like so long ago, but it wasn't that long ago. It's just our lives are so busy and we're on to the next thing. What an incredible experience. Talk about elevating and bringing women together, and the feedback has been great.
It's really touched me, and it's made me think, Katie, I think maybe we need to do this again. But the women that have reached out to me separately from the event that came, that I know, they all got something different out of it, and I didn't get anything negative.
No,
and the women that would give me feedback that came would definitely give me negative feedback.
Right.
And I said, what could we have done differently? And they said, I can't really think of anything. I left very uplifted. And what was our goal? Our goal was to bring professional women together who didn't know each other, to listen to each one of our lanes, right? Mm-hmm. But what we really wanted was at the end of the event, that's why we kept it small, for these women to start talking to one another and having more of a networking event. And that's exactly what happened. We had to kick them out.
Yes.
Do you remember? I counted. There were 15 women who were talking to each other.
Right.
Who were, I don't know what they were talking about because I didn't listen.
Right.
But we had to say, you know what, we have to leave. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And how great is that?
Great. I mean, honestly, it really was it was such a good feeling, and to share in the collective energy.
Yes.
Was really something else. Because what we talked about, it was creating a shift. It was designing your shift. People in different spaces in their lives and looking for what's next.
Right.
How do they want to fill their time? What's their purpose? All of those things. And there's so much of that going on right now. I mean, I think there's a groundswell of women who are in this age bracket, really, which can be from, their 40s up beyond, well up, 70s, 80s, with lots of energy, lots of ideas, lots of creative, and what's the outlet, and what's the lane. And it was fun. I think Julie Okel did an amazing job as our certified change in life coach.
She did a great job, and she got people connected right away. It would have been my worst nightmare to have to talk to a stranger next to me, but she did a great job doing that.
And you are just, you light up. I mean, it clearly is your my little secret
extra
something. Yes.
I do enjoy
and it's not
doing
little.
it, and
it's
I don't get nervous doing it, which is very weird because I'm such an introvert.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm going to bring something to every woman in the room if they're listening, and give them something that they can take home. And to me, that's my gift.
Yes. And if you remember how when we started this podcast, that was really what I was trying to convey to you, to every single person that was going to listen to what we were talking about when we were talking, that right there. You have it. It's different than anything you've done. Now you're a pro. I mean, you've got 5+ years in the podcasting world.
I don't even have notes today, Katie.
Thank goodness.
I used to come with 15 pieces of paper in front of me. I used to hide them from you because
Yes.
we were doing it in person then.
Yeah,
Even though it was COVID, we were in person with masks on.
we were. So life changes on a dime sometimes. And it was wonderful to harness that energy in that room. And there'll be something. We'll do something again.
Yes, I really, yes. And I always have to leave with that bra comment. But the funniest thing is I've had 2 women who I haven't helped as clients reach out to me through LinkedIn to ask me which bras I recommended at the event. So I did resonate that.
Oh, how can it not?
But they needed to know, and they needed to know, how should they get fitted, and I got this whole thing on LinkedIn, and I have saved those messages because I love that.
Well, I love you. Let's talk to Katie, shall we?
Okay.
Katie Stearns, so good to have you here.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Well, we could call it the Dining Room Podcast.
The Table Podcast.
The Table, Across the Table Podcast.
Across the Table.
Yes,
We're
yes.
not changing the name, Katie.
No, we're
No,
not?
we
Okay.
are not
All right.
changing the name.
Well, it's the view in your mirror. One of the things that I was thinking about, I met you at a U of M event.
Yes.
You, the Wisconsin graduate that you are, came to a U of M event. Yay! But you live here, so you realize the importance of building the community in which you live, which is important, but still also carrying your history with you, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we all agree that Madison's a really cool town.
Yes, I love Madison.
Yeah, I've got a lot of good Madison stories. Go back. What did you study? What was your degree in?
My degree was sociology.
Mine too.
Really?
Yeah, sociology and speech communications
Fantastic.
from the University of Minnesota.
Yes. Well, and I'm so glad that was my major, actually.
How so? Why?
It has been probably the most useful degree that I could ever have had for the type of person and career I want. I mean, it is the basis of all marketing. It's a fantastic preparation for entrepreneurs because, I mean, if you're a wired entrepreneur like I am, then you are always looking at opportunities, and sociology helps you to decipher which are good because you're looking at trends, you're understanding demographics, you're seeing is there a market for this or not. All of those things are really rooted in the basis of social studies, and it's the science of understanding those things, right? It provides you the background to be able to do human subject research. You can do validation studies. You can do your own focus groups. I mean, all of those things are really critical to starting any new endeavor. And so I've been very pleased with that degree.
You used a term wired.
Yeah.
Expand on that.
Well, if you look at like Myers-Briggs, for example, they talk about personality types, and certain ones are they're called entrepreneurs. Like there are personality types that are entrepreneurial, and mine is. And I think I came out of the womb an entrepreneur, literally. I mean, I was always, when little girls were playing house and dolls, I was playing bike shop. I was like setting up little businesses. I was always like imagining what could be, or wanting to redesign things, or that was what I loved doing as a little girl. I'd go to my cousins and I would Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer them into cleaning the house and rearranging everything and making it different and better.
That sounds like something Katie did back then, because I guarantee you Katie did the exact same thing.
Really?
Exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I would be the boss. I would tell you if I liked it or I didn't like it, but I wouldn't actually. Is that right?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
She would be standing over in the corner going, no.
Yes, exactly. 100%. I don't like that. Let's do this.
Yes. I had my first business when I was 10 years old. I started cutting hair. And my cousin, who was a barber and taught hair cutting, he gave me some scissors and books. And I started cutting hair on my family and cousins and stuff. And then my mom's boyfriend, and he was giving me a hard time. And I said, well, I'm charging, Bob, this is a business. And he said, you're just a beginner. What do you mean you're charging? I said, it's $3 if you like it and $2 if you don't. So yes, I love to like do the creative process of doing the, cutting hair, but I also was like, I'm doing this to make money.
That's fantastic.
And the fact that you still remember that and how
Yeah.
important that was is also very important.
Well, I ended up cutting hair all through school illegally. I mean, I wasn't certified or licensed, but I started cutting, in college I'd cut hair I started cutting hair like a couple of football players. Next thing you know, the whole team's coming to me, and I'd do it in the dorm room, like up in the back, and I'd clean up after myself, but it was my spending money.
That's fantastic. Well, you saw a need. So you
Yeah.
sold
You
a
still
need.
cut hair?
Occasionally, not regularly. It's kind of it's a big deal. You got to get everything out and blah, blah, blah. But it's fun to do it. I cut everybody's hair during COVID. All my sons were home and I cut their hair, and they're like, oh, you're pretty good, Mom. That was fun.
Well, that's like the best compliment that you can get, right?
Yeah.
When your kids actually acknowledge you're good at something.
Yeah. If they let you do it, then, that's the other thing.
Then you're okay, exactly. Funny story as I look at grandkids now. Our daughter, they had a garage sale this past weekend, and little Oren, our little 4-year-old, is super extroverted. I'm very extroverted. I know this surprises you to find out. Super extroverted. None of my kids are. I have one son-in-law who's extroverted, but now little Oren, he is super extroverted. So his deal was they had a lemonade stand. The 4 grandkids, although the one is only a year and a half, so he had no idea what he was doing other than being cute. But Oren, at 4.5, would walk up to people and say, "Would you like a lemonade?" Yes. And they'd say, "Sure." And he'd say, "That'll be $1."
So did they make any money?
They did make money, because what were you going to do to this cute little kid looking at you at that point? Oh, no, I guess I don't want it. You give him the $1 and you take it.
Oh, that is awesome.
So I thought, it's a little entrepreneurial. He's got that figured out.
He's wired too that way.
He's wired.
Yeah.
So that
salesman for sure.
I've not heard that term described like that, though. Mm-hmm. Being wired for something, that makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I when I look at things like all the entrepreneurial programs that they have in a lot of schools, and I think that those are great, and you learn a ton of tactical stuff through those that I had to learn the hard way. Around all the things you need to know besides just like a basic thing like selling something, right, or creating and selling it. But I also think that it's kind of like if you don't have it, you can't. No amount of education is going to get you there, because it's so hard that if you don't thrive on the challenge of it, if like you can't not do it, then you're not going to succeed, because it's too bloody hard. It's really difficult it's really hard to be successful at certain types, and some businesses are different from others, like a service-based business, sure, where you're just trading you're trading your expertise and time. Then you don't have these huge like overhead issues that you have when you're running a manufacturing company, or that's a whole different level of challenge, because you're worried about cash flow, and I have to take on inventory, and I need to pay rent, and it's just a very different type of project than when I was doing service-based businesses.
Yeah, no doubt. So something occurs to me too. If you know you're good at something, and you have the belief that you're providing something, now you're putting together Blyngz. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about Blyngz, which is your baby. Mm-hmm. This is you're bringing it to market. You're going through all the processes of that. What's the most difficult part of that? Is it finding the people that have that same belief, that want to get behind what you're doing? What are you finding is the biggest challenge?
Well, this is the first business I've ever founded that requires funding, outside funding. And that was I've bootstrapped everything before. And that wasn't easy either. Like my last business, You Betcha Box, would have benefited from having partners or had some additional capital to work with for expansion. And then once I got into the business, I was so busy in the business, I never had time to go out and develop those. It was like that takes a lot of work to do networking and find I didn't come from like a corporate environment where I have all these people in my network who would come and, hey, we've worked together, come be my operations person or whatever, And so,
so you were on the job training through the whole process
Yes.
of doing it. And when you say bootstrap, that means you funded
I
it.
funded it myself out of its revenue. I mean, I had very little working capital at all to start with. And I did pre-orders first, so I got the money up front, and then I sold it, or then I delivered on it, right? So I didn't have any money to put into the business. So I did everything myself, like literally. I made my own marketing materials. I mean, eventually, but all the initial money went right back into the business to then get some help as you can afford it. You start to hire in as much as you can when you can, but it has to be just in time, and it's, you just have to watch every penny. It's incredibly...
yeah, I know that feeling. That's exactly how I did my closet business at the beginning.
Yes. And so, but I was able to do it. And then I sold it, 3 years later after I built it to the point where it could have gone. Now at that point, if I had come in with an investor, it was ready to go be scaled nationally. But I needed a cash infusion at that point to get my own warehouse, to roll out, to get the staffing I needed to blow it up nationally. And instead I had a brand that had penetrated the market well. I had achieved this hockey stick growth, like incredible results, huge profit margin for that type of business.
Yeah.
And I had all the markers there that made me a desirable sale. So I had multiple offers when I sold it, and I got full asking price for it, which wasn't, it's not like it was a ton of money, but it was like, oh my God. And I mean, it was also kind of at a critical time for me because I was going through a divorce. My 3PL, my third-party logistics company that was doing my kitting and warehousing and all that, they went out of business. And, so I was kind of like, what am I going to do now? So I was really thrilled to be able to sell it and to get what I wanted for it. But through that whole process, it really taught me I didn't build that business thinking I'm going to build something to sell. I just built it thinking this is going to be fun and it's a great product people want, and I think I can start making a lot of money at this, that kind of a thing. But I wasn't building it with the intention of, flipping it. But I was glad I was able to. And I learned so much in that business. I mean, unbelievable amounts of information. So it was e-commerce, so I had to learn all of that side of it, digital marketing. I had to learn everything about manufacturing a perishable product that's licensed. I had to learn about inventory management systems and all of the logistics behind running something like that, where you could do mass customization of a product on demand. I built systems to allow for that without any inventory risk. So that all taught me so much. And I'm like, okay, I've done $1 million company. Now I want to build $1 billion company.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm going to look for the right opportunity where I see a mass market. And I already know the challenges of these other areas. How can I find the perfect product that could get me there? And
so let's talk about that product.
Okay.
Let's talk about that product. Yes.
So, do you wear AirPods or earbuds?
I wear earbuds.
Okay. So imagine if your earrings could be your earbuds.
I know. I was doing a little research and I'm like, interesting.
Yes. And so most women, we really don't have great products that meet our needs well for earbuds. Our ear canals, many women, if not almost every woman I've talked to, complain about them. They fall out, they hurt. I can only wear them for 30 minutes. They bother me. A lot of women don't wear them at all. And they'll say things like, I must have really small ear canals, blah, blah, blah. I said, no. After doing the research, I'm saying, you have women-sized ear canals. Our ear canals are almost 20% smaller than men's. And they are not designed for us. And then we also have situational awareness needs. Like, we're not going to walk around with our hearing obstructed throughout the day. Even going on a walk down the street in the middle of the day, women are 5 times more aware of and concerned about safety than men are. We need to multitask. We're doing 3 things at once. The kids are playing in the living room and we're washing dishes and taking a sales call. We can't afford to, have our hearing blocked. And then the other interesting thing that's really emerged in the past 2 years, are all of the new use cases that we need to have audio near our ear throughout the day, but not in our ear canal. So that will then allow us to access all the new AI tools that are available. So imagine if you're wearing an Oura ring and you're getting bio data, and then it can sense things like stress, and then you get a voice in your ear saying, "You seem stressed, time to take a cleansing breath." Or, "Katie, that meeting's starting in 30 minutes. Don't you think you should get on the road?" Or, "Did you remember to mail mom's birthday card?" You know, like all of the little things to have a digital assistant with you, that knows your schedule, that's also can give you feedback about, that conversation could have gone better. You know, how could I have done that? You know, like, so all of these new use cases require us to have audio near our ear. And so when you go to like the Consumer Electronics Show the last 2 years, you're seeing a huge surge of products, hardware products, that allow for this. And they tend to be glasses frames that have audio on the sides, or goggles, which I just don't see women wearing those. But and then the other piece to it is the way, you know, we have anything that conflicts with our desire to express ourselves through earrings is going to be left on the counter. You know, we have been wearing earrings for as long as recorded history exists. I was just in Greece, and I was at the archaeological museums, and there are literally cases from 7,000 BC filled with earrings. And the statuary, the women are wearing earrings. And it's like baked into our DNA globally that this is how we express ourselves. So if you have to choose between a tech product and expressing yourself through your jewelry, you're not gonna use the tech product. And so you know, that's really important. And I thought, why don't we have a lot of ear clutter, you know, our glasses, our hair, our earrings, this, you know, the white stick coming down, it's like a lot going on. So I had the epiphany of, what if we could create an audio product that enabled you to express yourself through your jewelry still? And we could have our own, that also creates a secondary revenue line for us, because we'll have our own line of Blyngz earrings as well. Or we could partner with anybody else.
Or earring jackets, or...
Okay, I have so many questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Since I deal with accessories for women all the time. So I guess my first question is, what if you don't have pierced ears?
There's 90% of women have pierced ears.
Yeah, but I mean, I have clients I know that don't. So will they be able to, will you have some type of clip type situation?
Most likely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question is, when you're designing these earrings, are they going to be fashion type earrings, or are they going to be, you know, hoops or basic that women can just wear all the time?
It'll be anything you want.
Anything you want.
So could it fit around earrings you already own?
No, it cannot, because it's going to use the piercing. But we can use, we can find ways that you can either retrofit your existing earrings or use them as is. There's ways to use your existing earrings with it. But it'll be a difference. I mean, it's obviously going to be bigger than typical earrings, because we have to fit speakers and microphones and antennas and, you know, semiconductors inside of it. But so the aesthetic will change, but you'll still be able to have variability and personalization, and it'll fit, you know, your ear too. So that's the other piece.
So for women that are aging and having to wear hearing aids,
Yes.
will it conflict with your hearing aid?
It may be an alternative to a hearing aid.
Oh.
Because the new technology that's emerging with Bluetooth, there's new Bluetooth technology coming out that allows for, instead of a one-to-one, it's a one-to-many connection. Like right now, your phone connects with your car, or your phone connects with your earbuds, right? In the future, it can connect with multiple devices. So you could all be on the same channel. Like we could all be right now on the same channel with our Blyngz earrings on. And you can program it then so the speaker gets amplified into the ear of everybody's voices are amplified to the other person through the Blyngz, but not
whoever's
the exterior
on that network.
Whoever's
basically
on that network, but not the exterior sounds. So the problem with hearing aids, I understand, I haven't used them, but is that it amplifies everything. So it's really difficult and loud, you know, like in a restaurant for my mom, because she hates that everything, you know, everything's being amplified, not just our voices. So that's the type of thing. Like right now, people are using earbuds instead of hearing aids because they do have sound canceling that allows for just that, but it's not. So there's a real blurring of the lines now between the medical devices and other consumer audio. So I anticipate that will be we're not going to advertise it or anything as a hearing aid.
But are you going to have a patent on your product?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. We have a pending patent right now.
Okay.
We have the first patent already issued, utility patent for the first audio earring already. And then we have another patent that's also in process.
So I got to believe through doing the research and building this, you're finding what the needs are as you go along.
Well, and the thing is, it's such a mass market. I mean, that's exciting to me. There's right now, currently in America, about 50 million women own AirPods, just that brand. And my research is showing that it's kind of jumped the shark. A lot of women, like if 3 years ago they were super hot, now they're kind of like, they've lost their luster a bit. And really, everybody's moving to out-of-ear audio. I think in 3 to 5 years, in-ear earbuds are going to be obsolete. I don't think.
Well, they've been talking about that they're not good for you.
Right.
In ear.
Yes. And it's not practical to wear them all day.
I also think about, we've all been in that location where somebody's talking.
Yeah, into the air.
Into the air, but they've got their earbuds on or whatever, and they're so loud. You're hearing that entire, this happened on the plane not too long ago, and like 8 rows back, you're hearing this person talk, and you're thinking, come on, are you not aware that you literally have to whisper because once that goes into the ear canal, I think about kids with their need to be able to pay attention in classrooms and things like that, and getting rid of some of the noise you're onto something.
Well, it's when you think about that kind of a market and you think about the margins for a product like this, it's an $11 billion market just in the United States. And that's just for the audio modules. So and to me, this kind of a product is, compared to what I just did with You Betcha Box, is simple. It really is. There's different complexities with it. But once the final product is finished in development, and I'm doing a pre-seed angel funding round right now, and that's I'm about halfway through the funds I need to finalize the product development.
To actually have a product
yes.
that you can
demonstrate,
touch and demonstrate, and
yes.
all of that,
and that we'll be able to pre-sell. So that's happening right now, and you had asked previously about the hard part or what's.
Yes.
And this has been a whole huge learning for me, because I've never built a company that needed money up front. And that is a whole animal. I didn't know anything about it, about venture capital or angel investment and what's a cap table. It's like, I own the whole company before. I didn't need to worry about a cap table,
What is a cap table?
So it's the capitalization table, and it's used in startups that are seeking funds. And that's not very many. But if you need to get outside investors, and that's either angel investors, it could be angels, it can be institutional family offices. VC is the one you hear the most, venture capital. But a cap table reflects the ownership of the company. So say you have, so many shares that when you set up a corporation, you establish the number of shares, and then the owners of those shares make up what's called the cap table. And then there's other people on the cap table who aren't really literally on it yet, but maybe they have put in early money. So there's a thing called a safe note, which is a simple agreement for equity. And so at early stage tech companies, people, when they invest, they don't get shares immediately. They don't get equity immediately because you can't really establish the price. How do you set a price for a company that's still on the drawing board? You don't know the value. And so what's typical is you do a safe note, and you'll put in, an investment into the company under favorable terms. So say you put in $25,000 now, and then in the future, when you do a funding round with like venture capital, like with one of, a venture capital company, and there's many of them, at that time, usually you're a little more established, you have some traction, product on the market, and so then you're able to figure out and negotiate a price. What's the value of the company? And say by that time, the company's worth $10 million. So then if they put in, and there's 10 million, and say they put in $1 million, that's 10% of the company. And you know now that share price is $1 per share. So at that time, all those angel investors who came in early under a safe note, they convert their shares into equity with a discount. So like we have a 20% discount and a cap on the valuation of the company too. So if the company is in fact worth $12 million, they have a $10 million cap, they come in at a $10 million plus get a 20% discount. So it's extra incentives for early investors. This is all totally new to me. I mean,
my head is swimming right now.
I had no idea about any of it. But through this whole process, I realized I really need to learn this stuff because I need to, my first customer, so to speak, are investors. Like I can't go anywhere unless I attract investors. And so I need to, what do they care about? What do they, I need to empathize with them. What do they want? What are they trying to get? What do they expect to see? How does this company need to be structured? And so I had to go back and learn it all, do some restructuring of the company and everything to make sure we aligned with expectations with the idea that I do want to sell this in 5 years. I want to build this thing, get it, $100 million in revenue and sell it in 5 years. So that is the goal with the company. And I'm like, if that's the goal, how do I build it from the beginning with that in mind? And then, of course, you still have to do product development, and you have to do, what's my branding going to be? What's my go-to-market plan? I mean, all that has to be done up front. You can't just build as you go for this.
And I think this is fascinating, especially what you're planning on doing. And I'm looking at also from perspective of what are women going to want. Like, women need to be attracted to the earring in order to try it, right?
Yes.
And so are you getting women or someone involved in that industry, the jewelry industry, or are you going to try to also create that on your own?
No, I am going to get a lot of jewelry designers involved. Yeah. I mean, that's the exciting thing too, is I think that...
You mean let's just throw out one. David Yurman, they would have an earring in your line.
Sure, they could. Yep.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
It would almost be a licensure, wouldn't it? You would sell licensing to...
Or, sell it or give it away even. But yes,
But
even,
right.
Yeah.
And even before that, though, the actual design, having somebody who knows how to design jewelry to fit this... I can't even imagine what it's actually going to look like.
Are you going to have diamonds in some of the earrings?
We could. Yep.
The world is your oyster.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Do they have to hang, or can they be...
Well, I'll save some of that for when we launch.
Okay. I mean, there's just all these things that...
I mean, the idea is that we are allowing for personalization and self-expression. I mean, and think about how radically different that is from... Do you know that there's over 750 audio things between headsets and earplugs, and earplugs, I think of them as plugs. There are over 750 different products out on the market right now. In that space, there's not a single one that has been invented, designed, or led by women. And all of them have this clunky, techie, they're either white or black usually, you know what I mean? And they're just, so this is like a flipping of that on its head. And to say, why not, yes, we want the technology, we want that, but what do women really want? How do we live our lives? And how can I integrate existing behavior into technology? How can we take technology and integrate it into existing behavior? I mean, if you ask people to radically change their behavior to adopt something, it's really hard. That's a huge uphill battle. Like, I look at these goggles that they're expecting people to wear, and I'm laughing. I'm like, there's no way you're going to get women to do this. It'll mess up our hair, and it's not respecting, like, there's a zero awareness of the way women actually live. All the labor of the home that we do in our mind. I mean, we can't afford to be closed off. We need our ear to the ground, so to speak. I raised 3 boys, and I had to be making sure they weren't killing each other in the other room at all times, because it goes from happy wrestling to fighting very quickly.
Well, so let's talk
about
about
one
that.
second with kids. You know, the one thing I'm thinking for you is moms who
Yeah.
have kids and little ones and they're holding one.
Yeah.
If that's going to be their, let's call it earbud. I know you don't like that term, but you have to have something that isn't hanging because
Sure.
like they'll want to pull it.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked if it could be
Well,
just on the ear.
It doesn't have, yes, it can be any of those. But I also am like, I wouldn't wear any kind of an earring around a, 1.5-year-old period, no matter what it was. So there's that. I mean, we don't have to boil the ocean. We don't have to have every single woman wear this at every single moment of their lives for it to be successful. It's such a massive market. We can get by with a fraction of 1% to make a $100 million company. That's the exciting thing to me. It's a wide open opportunity. We don't need 90% of women to adopt this. We need less than 1% to adopt it.
You need the right people to adopt it.
Yes.
And it goes back to your comment about what are investors wanting?
Yes.
What's the hook that's going to get them in? I would, just when you said that, I was thinking to myself, okay, so there are different investment strategies, and within the investment world, they're looking for different things.
Yeah.
So trying to align and find the right, you were recently in New York.
Yes.
And you were looking for avenues to get in with the right groups.
Yes.
So talk about that. What's the strategy of direction of who you're talking to?
Yeah, that's been interesting because, I don't know if you know the statistics too about women in, not all companies are venture backable. They're looking for very specific returns. They want $1 billion opportunity usually. They want to know that you're looking to exit this, meaning sell it, because that's when they get their payout. If you just keep it forever and turn it into a huge, eventually it could go IPO and then they'll have stock in a company worth something. But most investors are looking for something where they know the founder is trying to build something big and then sell it. And so it's a narrow thing. And, but you asked about, but the problem, or one of the challenges I've uncovered is through all this too. By the way, through all this, and I've learned all this stuff, I've decided to become an investor through all this. So now I'm also an investor, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So the less than 2% of all venture capital goes to women. Less than 2%. Now, here's the interesting statistic too. Women startups in this world outperform male startups pretty significantly. So it's not rational. And then, the sociologist in me tries to uncover why. What's going on?
Yeah,
What is
I do know that statistic.
Yes.
Because a lot of them are become clients of mine. So,
Yes.
I know that, and it's fascinating, yes.
Yeah. And now to me, I see that as frustrating and also like, how do we change this behavior? But also an opportunity. I'm like, holy cow, like, I want in on this game because I'm like, I've been going now, I've been plugging into this whole world of women in startups who are seeking capital, as well as, so as part of this, I met with an investor, like one of the first investors I met with had the classic response of, like, oh, it seems niche. It's like anything that's woman is niche, I'm like, what's niche to you? Because half the population to me doesn't seem like niche. But, and it's just a common thing, but it's not, anyway. I digress a little bit here, but the point is, it's like, I'm like, who might fund this, And the other thing I've learned is most investors only fund in particular industries. Like here in Minnesota, we have venture firms, but there's nobody who will touch pretty much consumer products, consumer electronics. There's nobody here doing consumer hardware or consumer electronics. So you have to learn, like, which venture firms do look at that. And the other thing, it's really hard to find them who will do it at a really early pre-seed. It's super hard to get money for hardware because they're used to doing software, or they want you to show traction of your product. Well, you need seed money. You need that pre-seed money to finish the product so you can show the traction. It's hard to show traction. It's a chicken and egg thing.
Patience. You must have to have an incredible amount of patience.
I'm terribly impatient.
Okay.
Terribly impatient. I think it's more kind of like rebelliousness mixed with perseverance. Like, somebody tells me something like that, if you allow yourself, you can be discouraged for a day, But if you don't like use that as rocket fuel the next day to get up and say, I'm going to show you, don't underestimate me.
Yeah. So the word no is motivating for you.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess you're not the right one. I'll move on.
Yeah.
You know, that you learn to do that pretty quickly. You have to desensitize yourself from rejection. And you have to just keep going until you find it. And now I'm starting to. I had to really, I had to first really actually invest quite a bit of time to learning all this world, rebalancing our cap table, making sure our company was structured properly, all of that, to make sure that I have completely de-risked the opportunity for them. So I've taken as much risk as possible off the table. And I have a very clear plan and a very clear strategy, and the product is really well developed already, as much as I could do without hiring the big engineering team. I have some engineers, but just enough to kind of give us the shell. But now I have to go and finish, and we're not inventing, the electronics part of this isn't new. It's the same thing as other earbud technology. So it's not like we're, coming up with brand new circuitry or anything like that. It's existing technology, but the form factors, and the way it interacts with.
Truly, it's fascinating. You started to talk about this, and I want to hit on this too. You said that the numbers are great for women businesses, startups.
Yes.
They're very successful.
Yeah.
Which would make a person question, well, why is it harder for them to get the seed money, to get the investment, if they're generally more successful? So then you use that and you founded 2% for Women Club.
Yes.
Talk about that. Well, I see we're going to have... This is the problem with doing a podcast from your kitchen. We have the outside landscapers working. So we'll just have a little bit of background noise. If we had our Blyngz on right now,
that's right,
we wouldn't even hear that.
No.
Or we could
take a quick break.
Well, we could do that. Shall we do that? Maybe a quick one. All right. As usual, when we take a break, we talk about all this stuff, but I want to talk about the 2% club, 2% for Women Club.
Yes.
Because I feel like that is such a important topic. I feel like we should be paying attention to that.
Yes. Well, and all of this has opened my eyes to this whole thing, right? About that women are not getting the funding they need to do amazing things. The other thing is all the world economy, only 1% is in philanthropy. 99% of the world economy is in, for-profit pursuits. The biggest problems in the world, whether they're climate change or health stuff or medical, all of that is happening in the for-profit world. And so, like, as women, we are really good. We feel good about ourselves when we're giving our money away, doing philanthropy. And that is important work. I don't mean to say that's not. But really, if we want to be part of changing things for the better in this world, or being part of solving some of the biggest problems, in particular things that affect us and our families and the world we live in, we need to start understanding that the biggest impact can be made through investment. And we are not taught about this. It's not typically in our, and so I'm really curious about how can we as women, especially we already control over half the wealth in this country, and yet we're not the investors in these spaces. Very few women are in these spaces. And now there are some VC firms that are focused, that are female run, and less than 10% of the decisions about where investment go, like within VC firms and institutional offices and things, less than 10% are made by women. And so, and not that women don't also have these unconscious biases when they review pitches, like we also have the same bias that a woman, for whatever reason, we're not giving women the same benefit that men get. Men get, when we look at men, we tend to see their potential, and women need to prove that we've already done it. When you analyze the responses or the questions that are asked of a startup founder by investors, men are asked potential questions and women are asked mitigation of risk questions, like when you fail, how are you going to prevent failure?
Interesting.
And that is true, by the way. Women do that to other women as well. So, and it's all about our programming. It is about what we have absorbed about what does an investor look like, I mean, not an investor. What does an entrepreneur look like? I'm not a bro dude. I don't have a goatee. I don't have, a baseball cap. But so we need to really, I think it behooves us to understand that these forces and all of us are affected by these norms of what we expect, right? This is, and so I'm kind of, as part of this, I think this Blyngz provides an opportunity to be a platform, and the brand can be about women empowerment too, because we're the first in this industry. Where are there other areas where there are almost no women represented? Which other industries are there? I just learned of a brand new luxury car, electric vehicle car line that's coming out that's designed by a woman. That's the first ever. I mean, can you think of any other car out there that's been designed by a woman, that is led by a woman?
No, but how many times have you said, geez, I wish I could get some information to whoever does cars, because how I would use them or set them up, or where I'd put the cup holders, or how, all of those things. Are they not talking to women who have kids in the cars and all that? Interesting.
Yeah, or things like where they put EV charging stations in the back of some dark parking lot somewhere. It's like, I mean, there's so many things like that. And so I'm like, this is kind of exciting, because while I'm learning all this, I'm thinking about, I think I should become an investor too, because there's, I want to walk the talk, for one thing. Or did I say that right?
Talk the walk.
Talk the walk. Anyway, but also I see huge opportunity, because I'm participating. I decided to join How Women Invest, their fund. How Women Lead is helping. It's an organization that helps women achieve, learn how to become and get on corporate boards, paid corporate boards. But they also have a funding arm called How Women Invest. It's a venture capital arm, and they fund women companies that are solely founded by women, and they're doing very well. And I'm like, I think I should invest in this fund. And they made it very accessible. So it's $25,000 over 4 years. So it's like $6,000 a year over 4 years. And then while I'm doing it, you're listening in on these pitches. You get to kind of ask questions. If you want to be part of their due diligence team that dives deeper into the company, you can do that. But through that process, it's really helped me to become empathetic to investors as I am an investor. And I thought, how cool is this? And I think if we find ways to help make it accessible for women to understand how they can support other women, and also make, increase your own wealth, that'll give you even more money to be able to give away later if you want to, or leave a legacy. And it doesn't need to just necessarily be through venture capital or angel investing. You can also do things like, there's a fund called WCEO that's like a mutual fund where you buy shares, just like on the stock. Anybody can do that. And they only, their portfolio of companies that they invest in are run by women. The CEOs are women. So, I mean, as women, if we think about that 2%, getting less than 2% of venture capital, what if we flipped that 2% number? That was where I came up with the idea, and said, what if women decided that we were going to deploy 2% of our overall portfolio, which is a very small amount, towards investing in other women? That would be, instead of $2 billion going to women, which is a drop in the bucket compared to the trillions that are invested right now in venture, instead of women companies right now are only getting $2 billion out of that. That's on the whole global economy. That's ridiculous. But if we did that, that would turn it into $200 billion at least. So I'm kind of on a mission through Blyngz, but I mean, it's kind of through Blyngz, it's adjacent to it, but it's all self-supporting, or they're mutually supporting, I should say, those two things, because it can be a platform to have women start to think about these things. Like, how can we be part of helping other women? Why don't we lift as we rise, right? Yes. And let's change these dynamics. We have the power to do it right now. We are able to do it. We just need to choose to get comfortable with this, start learning about it. And there's all kinds of resources out there. And start learning enough where you feel comfortable to try it. And remember, it's not everything. It's just part of your portfolio.
Right.
And it's part of a risk, it's part of diversifying your portfolio. So I'm not a financial planner. I'm not advising any of that, but or a financial advisor, but I'm telling you my personal experience and my thought process of why I decided to do it.
And I think for women too, to at whatever point they're at in their careers, should have, I dislike the word should, are going to want to have knowledge of investing.
Yes.
if they don't, they're missing a huge part of building the wealth.
Yes.
I don't know how else to look at it other than that.
I agree.
And I think about, like, we haven't been invited to do this, and I want to. My part of my mission is to help women feel that they're invited to do this. And like men, how do men learn about these deals, these alternative investment ideas? You know, and I'm trying to understand that. I think it's like golf course stuff. Like
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm thinking, where can we as women? Like, I think we need our own on-ramp for this, and I'm trying to figure out what that is. I'd love to hear your thoughts about where do you think women could start talking about money? It's super uncomfortable for us to do that, by the way.
You know, 6 years ago, we started an investment club. We've got 14 women that come together. It's gone through some, I don't know, ups and downs, but it's changed over time because 5 years ago we were in the middle of the pandemic, and so we had a lot more time to talk about this. And so now, as people have gotten busier, but we still try to get together, talk about investments. The next conversation that we're going to have is about women-led. One of the things that we did talk about was who's running these companies, how do we want to choose to invest. So I think even building some of that, building a model for investment clubs with women who might want to come together as like-minded, and looking for opportunities to learn more. We've had some great speakers that have talked to us. We've had a couple of visits to companies, and so that's been very interesting. And I think more of that is needed.
I agree. I think one of the, let's say, roadblocks for women is that we wear so many hats all day long. I'm not saying men don't, but what I'm trying to say is that, we have to prioritize children, family, work, parents, and it's the woman's kind of job to take care of all that. And so it's harder for us to say, no, sorry, I'm busy, I'm going to this tonight. A lot of women have a lot of guilt with that because all day they've been working and doing what they need to do.
Yes.
And where men do it differently. How's that?
Yeah.
A lot of men. Some men don't, but a lot of men.
Is the tide for that changing though?
I don't think
to our younger, I look at my daughters within their relationships, I think it's changing.
Yes and no, but they still have their kids. They still have their parents.
I found this on the web.
They still have their, as we age, our kids are going to have us to deal with, right? And so I think that the couples themselves, it's not all of our daughter's job to take care of all the rearing of the children, that their husbands are helping with that, but everything else that takes place, the house and all of the hiring of the, if you have a house, the lawn, the this, the that,
Scheduling
the daycare, the nanny, that's all on the woman generally. Very rarely have I found that the man takes care of a lot of those situations.
Signing them up for activities. I mean, remember how time consuming that was?
Oh my God, and camp, and
oh my God, I know it. It's insane.
I mean, if you weren't online, in our day we couldn't go online. We had to make a phone call. But what I'm saying is, all of those things, and it can get exhausting. And I think that's one of the reasons why you don't see a lot more women participating in that on a regular basis, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that it is changing, though. The demographics are showing. And you know what's shocking to me is that of 45% of U.S. households, the woman is the primary breadwinner now. That's huge.
And she still handles everything else.
Yeah, that's right. But then there's this beautiful time, which I talked about a little bit in a post recently on LinkedIn, called midolescence. I think Barbara Waxman was the woman who coined that term, of women when we enter our mid-40s through our mid-60s. We have this time, it's a developmental time in our lives called midolescence, when suddenly we have the freedom now. We have time in our lives. We need other women. Like for us, it's very different and distinctive than for men. And we need to be around other women. We want to explore new things. So, I think that there is you're right. I think that the heart of the storm with kids at home, especially elementary age, But anyway, that is hard to fit all that in there. And we're the ones we're maintaining the household budget too. We're doing all the spending at the home. 85% of all of our household spending is done by women. The men are kind of typically, in terms of role modeling, gender who's doing what role. The men tend to be more doing the investment stuff or taking the risk stuff, right? And so, but I think we can change that. I think the millennial women are different, and beyond them too, as they have more of their own wealth, they have their own income that's coming in. And then I think our age, we're ready, I think, and we're ready to just start looking at that a little more closely. I hope so.
What I think that you have clearly done well is you have continued to educate yourself. You ask the questions. You continue to ask for clarification. You have your body of knowledge that you've developed in the past, just since you've started this new company, is quite stunning if you think about it.
Absolutely.
That's really what you have to do. You have to be open to not knowing so that you can learn. And I don't even think that you really realize what you have amassed in terms of knowledge base.
You're a really good listener.
Thank you. You're so kind. Thank you. That's nice for you to say. I am plagued or blessed with obsessive curiosity, and that's probably.
I love that obsessive curiosity. Okay.
Anyway.
We're gonna take a couple of minutes.
Yes.
We just got a couple more minutes. We're gonna take here, and because we're changing, but we can do this because it's our podcast. You wrote some really fun things about your time in New York. It's stemming around how you put your wardrobe together for all the different things you were doing. It was fun and fast, and you had the wrong shoes on, I think, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
But you had to have a strategy even for your wardrobe. And what woman doesn't like a good wardrobe story? So give us
Especially me. I like wardrobe stories.
Well, do you remember, did you guys see the Barbie movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So do you remember the part where she's talking about all the stuff we have to navigate, the like razor thin line we have to walk? Like I can't be too sexy, and I can't be too frumpy, and I can't be too this or that, and you're trying to walk this line. And a lot of it's guessing, it's like, how should I look? What am I trying to portray? And so I kind of go back to, I guess this is the entrepreneur in me. I'm thinking of myself as a product a little bit. And who is the buyer?
What's your brand?
What is my brand? What am I trying to convey? What's my audience? What's my goal? And think about, how do I want to be perceived? And we all know that the way we present ourselves is the way that it's really critical to how we're perceived. And
that's my business.
Yep. Yes. I mean, inside I'm really a nerdy sci-fi girl, but outside I have to be like kind of a badass CEO of a tech company. What does that look like? Especially when there aren't very many of us, if any, especially in this space, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I guess I have to think about that. What does that look like? And how do I present myself in a way that is convincing and creates credibility? I mean, I have to talk the talk too. I can't just look away or look a certain way. You have to be able to speak intelligently. And so my boyfriend can totally attest to this. It took me like practically an entire day to decide just what to bring, and then you're trying to decide. The worst is shoes, of course. How many shoes can you fit in your bag and still call it a carry-on? I had just a huge carry-on. It was hilarious. It was bulging with 4 pairs of shoes in it.
You and Lisa can continue this conversation on post.
I'm holding everything in. I'm just listening.
Yes, you're
no,
listening.
but so I the thing about New York Tech Week is there's hundreds, literally, I think 800 different events happening across the city, and you have to kind of go on and apply, or put in a RSVP for them, but you're not automatically admitted, and you don't know you're admitted often until the day before. And so you're kind of madly it took me a whole week just to go through the whole agenda and find the ones I wanted to go to and sign up for them. And you're trying to put things out there to make yourself compelling so they'll let you in. And anyway, I'm like, so I had to bring different clothes for different events because they have daytime events that are fashion. It's a combination of fashion, tech, and AI and, artificial intelligence. So I'm like, if the more fashion forward events, I need to look more fashion forward. I can't come in with a business suit on to that. I mean, especially if I'm potentially meeting investors who want to invest in the fashion side of what we're doing. You know, they need to see that the founder, who has to be the front person for this company, can pull it off, right? There's that. But then if you're meeting with purely tech people, you can't be too edgy. You know what I mean? So it's like, and so like, how do I like balance this? And so I put stuff together, and then I'm like, okay, you're going to several events. You don't have time to go back to your hotel in between. So I put this one outfit together. It wasn't even what I had planned to wear, but I like rearranged everything when I got into my room. I'm like, today I feel like this, or I know this is better. So I mixed and matched even what I brought. But I brought a pair of pants for the day, and I brought this silk skirt that I could roll up and shove in my bag with a pair of heels. They came with me. Because I'm like, I'm not walking around the city in these all day.
So far, you're getting an A+.
It's on the LinkedIn. It's hilarious. I like took a selfie in the mirror, like in the bathroom mirror, to show the different. But then the next morning, I didn't have any events, and I was bummed because I'm like, God, I didn't get into any of the events where there's going to be investors there. And then all of a sudden, I'm laying in bed and like asking people, do you guys have any in New York, or how can I get in? And suddenly, I get a ping. I'm into this event. And I'm laying in bed still on my phone. The event starts in 30 minutes, and it's across town in Manhattan. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I don't even feel like going. Oh, just buck up and go. You got to get ready and get your butt there, because so I'm like, oh, these, and I had these really fairly comfortable heels. And I'm like, I don't feel like hauling around 2 pairs of shoes. I think I'm going to just wear these heels. I'll be fine. Well, I could barely walk by the time I got to the final event, you know, and so
your ankles were swollen. And
oh my God, yes, it was a mess. But anyway, so I learned my lesson in New York. Never think heels are ever going to be okay. Just bring them. But anyway, the point is, like, you just have to figure out like what's the right look for the event you're going to, who's going to be there. There's a lot.
It's very important.
Yeah.
And don't remember your bra. You got to make sure you have the right bra on for every outfit.
That's right.
Very importantly, such a thing.
Yep.
Lisa's all about the bra, the shoes, and the bags.
Yep.
And the underwear. Or the shapewear, depending on what you're wearing.
Foundational.
Foundations are your foundation. Yes.
It is time consuming too. I mean, when you think about like getting your hair ready, getting your makeup ready, making sure the outfit is ready. And I'm realizing this, you know, when this company does take off, and I think about, you know, other women out there in this, at the highest level in industry that are like Shark Tank types, right? I'm like, they are spending a significant amount of their time on their wardrobe and their appearance and their hair and their makeup, and
that's why I'm still in business.
Or they have someone like Lisa, so
that's
they're
why
not
I'm still in
spending a
business.
significant amount of time.
Okay, good.
Those people are not deciding on their own.
No.
Generally, if they have someone like me, not a stylist, not a personal shopper, but someone that helps you with your brand, and if you start building a wardrobe from the beginning, you eventually will have all of those things in your closet. You will not be stressing out on what you have to buy for this next event. So it's a process of your wardrobe, and that's really important, investing in your wardrobe.
You are in my future, Lisa.
No, but I mean, even just think in those terms. Like retail therapy, to go out to buy that one outfit to go to New York isn't going to help you. You got to think of it in terms of everything in your closet working together.
Yes.
So when you mix and matched in your hotel room with what you brought, that was impressive for me.
Thank you. Well, it was fun. I had a blast, and I thought I want to talk about stuff on LinkedIn without going into too much detail about my product, because I'm not really ready to go into that yet. But I do need to establish that I can be the front person for this, you know, on LinkedIn, because investors want to see that. They want to see that I can have a social media presence that is compelling.
Well, and your personality, which is what's opening the doors for you, which is what's getting you in the rooms, even to ask if anyone has an in to get you into something. And look at that, you got in. Those are, to be able to put yourself out there. That's a skill. That's a skill that you built and learned.
Yeah.
So we
Thank you.
all come, we all have the privilege of being here and living here and being raised here, and there are those who don't, which is my segue to bring me to the nonprofit that you brought forward to talk about just a little bit, and that is the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. Talk a little bit about where your heart is with that.
There are so many places with need, obviously, and right now this is just such an obvious situation. My own son, my eldest son, is an immigration attorney in Madison, Wisconsin, and he works for a similar organization there, working with people who are here legally, or they're pursuing the legal process. They're here under special permission. It's called, they're here under parole, which sounds like they've done something illegal, which is just the legal term for the people who came here from Afghanistan, for example. They helped us in that war. These were the people who risked their lives and their families' lives to support the United States. So they came here under a special program, a special visa program, a parole program. The immigrants who are here from Ukraine, there are people here from the Congo. I mean, they're here specifically under legal jurisdiction. They're not criminals, and they are going through the legal process. And I think about this a lot because all of us, unless we're Native American, have immigrant DNA. And as an entrepreneur, I can completely identify with so many of the people coming here now who are seeing opportunity here. They are building businesses. They're employing people. They're contributing to us. They're helping. That diversification can be scary. That it can feel scary to people because it can be different, having new cultures merge. But once we can become healthier. It does provide richness to our culture. It does provide all kinds of exciting ways for us to grow as a society. I mean, that's the whole basis of America. So I'm just very, we need to support the people who are doing the work to help people come here legally and to help them pursue the legal justice system. That is something that I care deeply about.
Excellent. www.ilcm.org for more information on that organization. What about if people want more information and want to get a hold of you?
Well, LinkedIn is great, and that's just Katie Stearns.
Katie.
Yep, Sterns. And you can DM me there, friend me and DM me there. Our website for Blyngz is kind of a teaser website right now. It's spelled BLYNGZ. So we're not really revealing much of anything yet. But just follow us there and follow me on LinkedIn, and you'll see any of the updates. And I'm doing a lot of posting about really helping empower women around the areas of how do we empower each other. Really, let's empower ourselves to empower one another. We don't need to, we can build a new table. We don't need to wait to be invited. We can just build our own new table.
I love that. Katie, thank you. It's truly been a joy to have you on, and it'll be exciting to see where you lead. Lisa, for us, if people want to get a hold of us,
you can find us on our website, theviewinyourmirror.com. We are on Instagram. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Facebook. What did I forget, Katie? But everything will lead you through our website.
Exactly.
And for mine, Lisa Rubin Wardrobe Consulting LLC, you can get that through our website. And Katie, I forget what.
KatieHarms.com. It's a tough one.
KatieHarms.com. Okay. Well, I didn't know which one you use for, yeah. But it's all through our website.
It is all through our website. And what is the most important for us is really to tell women's stories and to give them the opportunity to tell their own and hear different perspectives and come at it from different views. One thing that we know for sure is our view of ourselves is we are the only us. And we want to make that the best that we can be, and to know that every time we look in that mirror, we are special and unique and so loved. So until next time.